Before starting any project, I always try to plan ahead, figure out where, at what place, and at what time of day I'll be shooting. During the pre-production stage, I also need to decide what kind of light scheme I'll use, which equipment to rent, and how the camera movement will be executed. In this video, using examples from the projects where I worked as a cinematographer, I'm going to walk you through how I create lighting schemes from scratch and plan camera movement. Alright, so when I'm reading a script, the first thing that comes to mind is, what kind of location do we need? What kind of place are we looking for? After hearing the director's vision, we team up with a location manager to scout places where we are allowed to shoot, based on our preferences. For a music video, for example, we were searching for those underground vibes. After checking out a bunch of places, I sometimes get overwhelmed by the variety and realize it'll be tough to film more than 20 shots in a day. You know, once I've taken tons of location photos, I start selecting the best spots for filming. Okay, the lighting schemes, how I come up with them and prep the gear list. 2 examples. The best lighting setup is when you base and match it on a real source of light. For example, take a look at this shot. We were planning to film a dance scene in this location right after sunset, so I had to figure out how to show the lighting I'd add realistically. The first thing that comes to mind, let's use the streetlights as the main source of light and to intensify it via light sources. This way, I don't have to cheat or invent unrealistic sources of light. We're just enhancing what's really there for extra volume and contrast. Now, the question is, where do I place the additional lights? In front, from the side, or behind? If I put the extra light in front, it would flood the entire shot. So the people, the background, everything would blend into the same tone. No, thank you. Anyway, side lighting wasn't a bad idea, but I preferred lighting from the back and from a higher point to separate the characters from the background using backlight. So the streetlights are the main, most powerful light source, at least that's what the viewer should think. But at the same time, I'd add a softer side light to bring out the faces and emotions of the dancers because, after all, we're not shooting a horror film where backlighting alone would work. We used a Nanlite Alien 300C with a built-in warm LED gel filter from others' 151 filters inside the light. Why a warm tone? It's for contrast, to mix warm and cool light. Streetlights are rarely the same color temperature, and that variation adds some extra depth to the shot. Did I know how the lighting would look beforehand? Absolutely. I sketched out this lighting plan a few days before the shoot and consulted with the gaffer to make sure we'd have enough power with a 2 kilowatt generator. I went with Nanlux for the wide shots. For the side lighting, I chose the Nanlite Alien 300C. It was the best option because it's powerful, runs on V-mount batteries, and is IP55 rated, meaning it's protected against dust and water, which was important since we had artificial rain in this scene. When it comes to shooting outdoors during daylight, I know this might sound like a cliche, but it works. Sunlight at a low angle during sunset or sunrise always looks great. And I save these times of day for the special shots, you know. Even when the sun sets, there are always those extra 20-30 minutes to catch shots in blue hour light. On pre-production, I always take this into account. I prefer using the sun as backlighting, so it's hitting people in the scene from behind. The only thing I'd recommend is adding some field light to the characters. When exposing for the sky and backlight, the f-stop levels are really high, so to prevent the shadows side from falling too much into darkness, you'll want to lift the shadows a couple of stops, and I usually do this with a reflector. Anyway, it's crucial to plan for this during pre-production because it determines whether you'll need a reflector, what size, and how many. When golden hour fades and you're still exposing for the sky, characters start to go into silhouette. And this looks great, I love it, but depends on the genre. In this project, I needed to show emotions, so we added a little fill light from the camera side using the Alien 300C. For wide shots, the 300 watt with V mount powered light had enough power to fill the shadow side of the girl in the frame. besides getting input from the gaffer, I'm always curious to hear from the Steadicam operator too. I often ask them what cool new stuff they've been shooting recently, Or sometimes I'll ask them to show me behind the scenes clips from their work. And these chats often lead to discovering some interesting techniques with the Steadicam. I get a clear sense of what I want to shoot and how I plan to do it. I personally don't own much of the gear. Most of it is rented. The only lights I bring myself are a few new ones from my kit, like the Nanlite Alien or Pavoslim. And to keep in constant contact with my team, I always bring my trusty wireless communication system, the Hollyland Solidcom Pro. I've mentioned before why having a headset is so important on set, but I'll say it again. It saves you from shouting and running after crew members all day. You know it. I usually stay connected with the first and second AC, the director, camera operator, and gaffer. If you're thinking about what essential gear you need on set, I think that headsets should be number one on your list. And I recommend getting at least 6. I started with a set of 4, and that was not nearly enough for the crew. Now I use a set of 8, and I'm happy. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.